Excuse me, Government of Canada, what the literal fuck is this? The announcement came by way of document announcing the Government of Canada's digital ambition, announced by Mona Fortier. Oh, just like Mona Nemmer, the fucking health fucking lady that established the the COVID mandates and no one ever questioned or heard of during the whole thing. Okay, cool. And that's by Mona Fortier, the president of the Treasury Board. The document is credited to the Treasury Board of Canada's Secretariat and is aimed at fulfilling the Chief Information Officer of Canada's responsibility to lay out an annual plan, that's a lot of laying, an information technology and cybersecurity trajectory across the 3-year time horizon. Oh, 3 years. Oh, like when Trudeau's supposed reign ends. As such, it is a broad-reaching document touching on a range of topics, including pertaining to digital government services, but a central theme is the need for a unified digital identity program. Like our social insurances aren't enough? Like, what do you want? COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the need for government services to be accessible and flexible in digital age. No, it doesn't. We all know computers are like fallible. They can fail. You can lose documents easy. We need a paper trail so that if the system goes down, closed loop systems, all that's gone now. They're literally manufacturing everything so that it's possible to collapse or be hacked, which is convenient. That's how I would do it. I would say, hey, go ahead and subscribe to my service. We guarantee that will protect you, but if we get it cyber attacked, there's nothing we can do, and then I would engineer a cyber attack and rob everybody that invested in my company, because it's in my clause that says you're taking a risk, and if you get cyber attacked, then you can't pursue me. So you give me all your money. I convince you to give me all your money under a contingency, and then, whoops, the contingency happened. But you said it was okay, so you agreed to me taking your money if this happens, and exactly what I said happens. Just like NFT and Bitcoin. Now major corporations are doing this. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's keep reading. Highlight the need for government services to be accessible and flexible in digital age. The next step in making services more convenient to access is a federal digital identity program integrated with pre-existing provincial platforms. Digital identity is the electronic equivalent of recognized proof of identity document, for example, a driver's license or passport, and confirms that you are who you say you are in a digital context. To that end, the document notes that the Government of Canada is taking a number of steps, including the development of a digital identity program to facilitate online transactions with the government. The document also states that the government will use any information-centric security model that is supported by a trusted digital identity to guard Government of Canada devices and systems against cyber threats. You're just opening up more fucking venues. Like, I get it, it's easier to do clerical work and stuff digitally, but at the same time, like, now they're giving all these contracts to Shopify and all these fucking tech companies. Like, do we need more hands in the pot of civilization and in the pot of, do we need more chefs in the kitchen of our society? You know what I mean? When what's already there is just absolutely failing the people. Technically, the government and all these services are supposed to be there to serve the people. And so far, in the last 2 years since COVID's peaked, we've gotten nothing but disappointment, and it's almost absolute. The government has given up all responsibility to the economy or to its people or to its sovereignty. It seems like everything is corporate centric. It's almost like a corporatocracy, an oligarchy. It's the people at the top have our best interest in mind, and if we don't listen to them, then you're a terrorist, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you know what I mean? You're crazy. It's like, it's just a little crazy. It's a little crazy in and of itself. Multiple Canadian provinces have already begun exploring their own digital ID programs, though it's also started to become a political contentious issue among some groups that perceive digital ID as a sign of government overreach and intrusion into citizens' privacy. The Canadian Bankers Association, meanwhile, called for the creation of a federated digital identity program earlier this year, echoing the World Economic Forum. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, what do you mean you have to identify if you want to use the internet? Like, how does this work? Like, you have to be labeled, or you can't participate in society unless you have a digital label. Like, what is it? Like, because, I mean, the first one's not too bad. Like, if you want to go on the internet, you have to have some type of identifier that traces your activity. I mean, that is a very huge infringement on your privacy, but then again, there's a lot of like fucking pedos and creeps on the internet. That, if you go after them, that's okay, but that's not what's gonna happen. They're gonna go after the average Joe. So I don't know. I have no idea. This is ridiculous. Yeah, Bankers Association. Yeah. Because the banks have the Canadian people's best interest in mind. Interesting stuff. And it doesn't sound that ominous, but it is an infringement on basic privacy. So, I don't know. Interesting stuff. I don't know why they have to be so shady about it either. Like, come out with it. Like, come on then. Get with the... That's what the government... The Trudeau government's been doing that since the beginning for, like, a long time. They're absolutely not elaborating on any of their policies. And, yeah, just all these WF shills. These people are involved in these organizations that have been planning and, you know, doing this Event 201 stuff and, you know, kind of making mock drills for how they'll control the population and how the population will react to them. And it's very bizarre. And I just want to know what their contingency is for when people start decorating lampposts and creating mobs. Because that seems to me to be the only recourse that civilization has, is to literally knock on these people's doors and ask them to politely stop the agenda that is going to result in the deaths of millions of people. Because it's very... the things that are going on universally, this is not just Canada, I'm saying universally, and I'm not saying that it's happening particularly here, but there's a theme going on which seems like everybody's moving towards this idealistic, almost Marxist, communist communal thought process that they think that the government has everybody's best interest in mind and everything's going great right now. But it's not. Everything's terrible right now. And looking at Marxism, you know, fucking Mao and Stalin and all those dudes, their regimes resulted in the deaths of multiple millions of people, like 50 to 100 million. I think Soviets was like 50. Mao killed like 70 million or something. Mao's got the best record for killing people. So that's being implemented now. So when does the dying start? I don't know. When will it end? We don't know. You know, back in World War I, World War II, people weren't aware of what was going on. They had to... The means of communication that we have today didn't exist back then. So in order for them to get away with this again, they have to destroy our means of communication. Now, what would be an easy way of controlling people's communication would be to control the power grid or to control their ability to access technology and communicate. So it seems like we're getting closer and closer to this being this government controlling our ability to even communicate, which would be necessary if they wanted to implement some type of globalist. They would need to prevent the people from... They would have to be able to control the people and prevent them from communicating and from communicating on a mass scale, essentially, which is interesting. Because it's the only way that anyone can report and say, hey, our government's going crazy and everybody's starting to die over here. People would, you know, be like outraged, and a lot of people would do something about it because a lot of people are morally righteous. But these things start happening or they get modeled. So the only other way to model this, aside from cutting people off, is to information overload people. So that's the complete opposite. So instead of segregating people and segregating information, create so much information in so many pockets that everybody's too busy figuring out which pocket they're in that they don't give a frick. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit about what's happening in the next pocket. Kind of like how everybody's kind of almost not really paying attention to what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. A lot of people are just like, is this over with yet? I don't know. Interesting stuff. Just some thoughts. I don't know. Very bizarre.